Standing. All right, Kate, why don't we start with the roll call?
Certainly. Chair Stepanko.
Here.
Director Leary.
Here.
Director Corcoran. Nope. Francis. He was here a minute ago. We're going to circle back. Director DeMarquis.
Here.
Director Krasansky.
Here.
Francis, can you hear us? We do have a quorum, and I believe Director Corcoran will be right back. He may be getting a glass of water or a coffee. We started right on time.
You did. All right. So first item of business is approval of the draft minutes from the March 9 board meeting. My notes have Vida and Charlie as absent from that board meeting. Any discussion before we ask for a motion in a second? All right, I'll take one then. Motion in a second, please.
I'll motion to approve.
Thanks, Jim.
No, we may actually need Francis.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, we'll just hang on a second, see if we can track down Francis. Jeez, Christy.
Well, hopefully he'll be back in a moment. Because he's done.
She's not here. He's not here.
We can move forward
Can we
with the
go to the
reports
next
and then
item?
come back.
Yeah,
Yes, we
next
can move to
item.
the next item on the agenda.
Absolutely.
Back.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. Hello, Francis. We need a second on the meeting minutes from the last
So
meeting.
sorry. Second.
That is quite all right. Not a problem. It's the adventures.
Send out
There was a
the
line at the coffee machine.
APB on you.
I was going to say we started right on time. That's all.
All right, so Francis, Jim gave a motion on the minutes from the March 9 meeting, so you are the last remainder for a second.
Wow. I am the second to
Yes, all
James's motion.
Outstanding. All right, so all those in favor minus Vida and Charlie. Aye.
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 Okay, unanimous. All right. My report. So I know we've been discussing having some climate program staff attend a board meeting with Adam not here today. I decided, after talking to Maureen, that we would do it at the the May.
Yeah.
You made his April already crazy. The May board meeting. So hopefully we can have full attendance. But it sounds like we'll have the director of our climate change office, the deputy director as well, and just provide a brief overview, answer questions. Here to assist the committees or whatever the members and staff as needed. Self-evaluations, you should have received your packet, self-addressed envelope for your benefit. I think we have 4 submitted. I was the last of those 4, sadly. So you're not alone. So if you can, see if you can get those into Kate as soon as you can. And that's all I have. Unless there's questions, we'll move on to Madam President's report.
Okay, we have added a finance committee meeting to the May 11th board meeting for a New York City deal. And I will have Brian speak about that while he also gives you an update on the 2023 refunding deal.
Great, thank you. The city deal, at present time, it's approximately $115 million worth of new money and about $214 million of a refunding of Series 13A. And that will be structured as a subordinate in the subordinate indenture. And we will get the details on the projects and everything as they're for next month. For an update on the refunding since our last meeting, good news is that our benchmark has dropped approximately 40 basis points across the curve. So our savings has gone up. And I think last time I said the savings was only $2 million. I should have said $12 million. So if you're thinking the savings was $2 million, it's gone up a lot. But we're looking at approximately $15 million worth of savings right now. What's happening in the municipal market right now is that municipals are outperforming taxables. Municipal tax exempts are outperforming taxables. That's great news, but it could mean that we might have a larger spread to the benchmark because people are looking at taxables and saying even after the tax rate that's applied, they're still getting a better return. So we'll have to watch that. On the flip side of that is we're getting a benefit from what we call mom and pop, real retail coming back into the market that we haven't seen in years because the rates are actually high enough that people are looking at it saying, okay, I'll take a return of 4% instead of, last year at this time was probably 1.5. So that is a benefit that we hope that carries through. We have some economics come out next week. We have the week after we price is the next Fed meeting. At this point, I think it's, with what happened with the OPEC in the oil, it looks like probably we'll see another 25 basis points. It could be a pause. It might be 25. So that's what the markets are looking at right now. Any questions? Great.
It's coming up almost on the time for our financial disclosure statement filings, but Kate wanted a chance to talk a little bit about some changes might be going on with.
Yes, as I think now everybody knows, there's a new commission. I've been working and communicating with them and several other ethics officers just to get our heads around any changes or updates. It is my understanding that it should be utilizing the same system for the financial disclosure statements that'll populate any sort of former answers so you don't have to do the individual entries. And they won't be opening up that the dashboard, the database, until April 14th, with the financial disclosure statements due by May 15th. So just keep that in mind. As soon as I have them confirming it's there and open, they should still be using the same technological system that you've used in prior years. I don't know if that'll necessarily be the case next year, but that's my understanding based on our last communication.
And we'll send out a reminder as soon as we know that database is open.
I have an all-important sticky on that now, so thank you.
Excellent.
Also just wanted to let the directors know that on March 15th, we did an environmental notice bulletin statement to announce the eligibility criteria for WIA and IMG funding under the Clean Water, Clean Air, Green Jobs Environmental Bond Act. The Bond Act requires that any categories of funding that you provide 30 days notice of what the criteria is. So this is the first funding under the Bond Act for which the eligibility criteria was published. So we're starting to move on the Bond Act. We could do that because the Bond Act specifically, Environmental Bond Act specifically talked about WIA and IMG. So we just use the same eligibility criteria we've used since 2015 when we first came out with WIA and 2017 with IMG. So they're out there. Comments are being accepted until 5 p.m. on April 14th. And with respect to the other categories under the Bond Act, there's an interagency working group that are looking at the types of funding that are needed around the state, and there'll be significant stakeholder outreach on those different categories of funding under the Bond Act. But this was, an easy one given that the Environmental Bond Act specifically pointed to these programs. So we went out with that eligibility criteria. So just so you know that. And ID number 7 is a resolution expressing gratitude and appreciation to Michael Roisman. He has been with EFC for 28 years in our IT department and more than 33 years with the state of New York. He's been in information technology since the internet was new. So he worked with the internet, set up the internet and email, and I think that's probably all one needs to say about how much experience he has. But he worked when we had one server. We now have over 50. He's worked on our cybersecurity. He's been here since really kind of the infancy of really all the new technology that's out there. So we had a retirement party for him last week, and certainly worthy of we think, a resolution from the board for appreciation and gratitude for all his work and many years with EFC.
Didn't he help invent the internet?
I think he did. He and Al Gore.
He was there.
Yeah, he's great. He'll be missed.
Yes, he will. And he's often, I don't know if he still is, in the background working the IT for to make this meeting work.
I've seen him going back and forth and popping in and out. So he's likely, if not listening now, he will.
We're going to miss him. That's great.
Yes, we will. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. We did have a committee today. Audit committee met, chaired by Director Krasansky, and our outside audit firm, KPMG, joined us. Again, thank you to Marty Dunbar, who was our managing partner for the last number of years, who will be passing the mantle on to a new management engagement director, Jeff Polk, and continue to be led by Jeff Mabb, who is our senior audit manager on our portfolio. So it sounded like it was a great presentation, informational, educational. Charlie, do you have anything to add before?
Yeah, you covered it. There are too many Jeffs, Jeff. No, you got it. So we have really the change in the lead partner, which is, significant, different person to work with. But yeah, Jeff is a coach. Is that how you pronounce it? He gave an overview of the plan. Nothing significantly, the GASB, the rules, I didn't hear anything really major for us to deal with that's new. There's enough, that's not new for us to deal with, and they're on top of it. And so, no, great questions from everybody about the plan. He seemed on the ball. I mean, he didn't talk about all of his experience with New York State, but you could tell, very experienced in New York State, other authorities and government, a lot of years dealing with entities similar to EFC. You could tell he was familiar with it. And so, looking forward to another good experience and get into the details. No, but you got it. Change in lead partner and then the overview. All excellent questions and answers. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Anything we want to discuss on that before we head on? Outstanding. I have no unfinished business. Unless anyone wants to raise something, we will move to the resolutions. Kate, resolution number 1, please.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation authorizing the president of the corporation to take necessary actions with respect to the administration of the Green Innovation Grant Program.
Thank you. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Vita. Okay, Brian Hahn or Bill Brazel will be presenting.
Brian Hahn here. Good morning. This resolution comes up every year to reauthorize the president's authority to run the GIGP program. just wanted to give everyone a brief overview of last year's round and then highlight a couple projects. So overall, the program was very popular again in 2022. 79 eligible applicants applied, requesting over $112 million. Reminder, our award amount was $15 million. So very popular and oversubscribed once again. We awarded 8 applications, all in EJ communities, for $15.8 million. And they really spanned the resiliency side of the program. We had a couple stream daylighting and restoration projects, and we also hit some water efficiency projects. I'll highlight one, the City of Amsterdam. To my knowledge, it was a surprise to me to find out in the application that they had been unmetered until recently, hopefully. So we awarded them, and they're looking to install 5,000 AMI units from unmetered to metered. So they'll be able to track their water usage in the City of Amsterdam. I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't know if the board had a chance to look at any of the projects on the list or the overall packet. Had any questions?
Yeah, I love the broad variety of the projects.
I have 2 questions. One was actually specific to, like you said, this porous pavement. There was sort of maybe a number. You tell me almost the value of it, or tell me how those are measured, just in the benefits of let's say a specific porous pavement project.
Really, it comes down to drainage area, and typically we're seeing the value of those in CSO areas or urban areas where you're limited with maybe some utilities underneath, or different areas where you're really looking to try, and especially the Albany project, which is right around the corner from here and experiences heavy flooding throughout the year. You're able to get a larger drainage area to come through and really store that water during a heavy rain event, so it isn't inundating the collection system and allowing the system to work with reduced stormwater and hopefully reducing CSO events directly to the Hudson River in Albany's case.
Great, thank you. I've got one more question. It goes back to Maureen said. Maureen mentioned the Bond Act, and again, there's specifically these projects, sort of programs mentioned. I'm wondering, since they were mentioned in the Bond Act itself, does the Bond Act, the way it was written, present any new requirements on any of our programs? I'm thinking particularly EJ. That is there any overlay from the Bond Act that these programs shall moving forward contain this % of that? Those any new requirements for us?
Yeah, there are. I mean, it's certainly not my expertise, but my understanding is the language requires a 35% DAC community participation. And I think the goal, so that is the written law, the goal will be 40% to exceed what was actually in statute. That's the main kind of ad that I'm aware of, Charlie. I don't know if that hits what you were looking for, but
yeah, I think that's what I was sort of wondering. I think I remembered there was some kind of overlay requirement, so that's something we definitely have to keep our eye on.
Right. So as Maureen mentioned, there are subcommittees working on many areas of the Bond Act. One is involved in EJ and labor involvement, and I'm on that committee, as luck would have it. But it's chaired by our Deputy Commissioner for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and those criteria will be kind of dispersed into the other program criteria that are being worked on as well.
Right, and it's the same disadvantaged community definition that was adopted pursuant to the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act,
Correct,
which was, that definition was just adopted as final. Yeah. So we haven't used that definition. Historically, we've used the EJ maps, the potential EJ areas. that are mapped at DEC. Now there's DAC maps, but we have always looked at, not always, in the last several years, looked at what projects impact environmental justice areas, and we will look now as well at the DAC areas. So we don't foresee having any problems whatsoever meeting those thresholds, because it's something that we consider in our scoring and is important that we get dollars out to the communities that need it. Brian had mentioned the ask, 112 million, and that we only did 15 million. These dollars in GIGP come from the SRF, and you get a certain amount that has to be spent on either additional subsidy or grant, or can be used for green infrastructure projects. So there's that's what dictates how much money there is, and what we don't use for the green infrastructure projects can be used for grants under the SRF program. So we're usually about 15, 17, 20 million for a program. So it's always oversubscribed, but people love it. And one thing I wanted to point out is in the 3 years, the 3 rounds since we added efficiency and water meters again as allowable under the program, we've had 36,362 water meters that have either been already put in or will be under the program.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of meters. And you'll be seeing information on that, as well as the other metrics at the next meeting that we've been keeping track of. And I know, Vita, you're especially interested in seeing with respect to linear feet, other stuff that that our dollars pay for.
Awesome.
So every year, you guys internally sort of adjust the total amount of GIGP spending?
Yes, it's always about the same though.
And about how much?
15 or 20.
15 to 20 million, yes.
I think we did 17 one year, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Got it, Charlie. No problem. Okay, I lost my train of thought. Apologies. So I think there's nothing further on ID number 1. We will move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. ID number 2.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation authorizing the president of the corporation to take necessary actions with respect to the administration of the engineering planning grant program.
Can I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Charlie. Peter, I think I saw a hand, or James.
Sure.
That's a second. Thank you very much. Bill Brazell again will be presenting.
All right, thank you. This is our annual authorization of the engineering planning grant program. This program has been around since 2012 as a means of providing grants up to $100,000 to communities to develop an engineering report, get a jump start on their project. Since 2012, we have awarded over $26 million to 646 projects around the state. It's been a very successful, very popular program. Some information was provided to the board on previous rounds. Generally, we're seeing 60 to 80% of the recipients from each round go on to list their project on the intended use plan and move forward with the project. So we're very happy with that. Additionally, this program resulted in us developing an engineering report outline, which allows us to get consistent engineering reports that are useful not only for us, but for other funding agencies. So it's added some consistency across the state. Are there any questions on EPG?
Yeah, this is a great program. I really like it. It really helps municipalities, think ahead and get those plans. You mentioned that, you've set guidelines for what would be in an engineering report. I know in prior meetings, we talked about, energy efficiency or reduction of carbon, using various technology. Does the new outline for the plan address any of those topics that we've discussed in the past?
Yeah, communities or the engineering firms need to address energy efficiency in what they're proposing. If it's a project that could incorporate green infrastructure, they need to tell us what they're planning to do or why they can't use green infrastructure to achieve their goals.
So it's part of the feasibility evaluation, whether it's implementable or not, it's still in the feasibility.
Right, you're looking at alternatives. It's obviously if it's a collection system project, there's probably going to be no energy efficiency aspect because fortunately, you weren't using electricity to start with. But at a treatment plant, it does become a factor.
Yeah, we use the outline to make sure that, and across all the agencies, DEC uses it, that the engineering reports look at climate impacts, flood resiliency, the carbon, footprint, impacts on environmental justice communities, disadvantaged communities. So it's ever evolving. Usually we'll change each year so that we add things as they become priorities in the state. So I also wanted to mention for the, we have a pretty good, certainly listed. And if you go back to 2012, 84% who had EPGs have closed a short-term financing, and then 73%. And obviously, the numbers go down as you get closer. But we are going to use our community assistance folks. Will be reaching out to these folks that did an EPG maybe several years ago, and still we haven't seen them come in, whether or not they're on the IUP, but they haven't actually closed with us, and see what we can do to help them. Why did they do the engineering report and we paid for that, and that it hasn't come forward into a project? So we'll be looking at that.
Yeah, figure out what their hurdles are, what the next hurdle was for them. Yeah, no, it's a good program, and I know you were doing some of those things. I thought it was worthwhile repeating, so it's good.
Yeah, it's still a great conversion rate and a great enabler for municipalities, and that's a good plan to go out there and revisit and see if there's any way to get them across the transom to get the conversion rate even higher. That's great. Good plan. Good work and good plan.
Great. Okay, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Resolution number 3.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending prior authorizations for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund.
Okay, could I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Francis. How about a second?
Second.
Thank you, James. Rebecca Walker will be presenting.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Our first project is the Village of Oxford. This project includes replacement of the valve vault at the storage tank site and disconnection of an abandoned open reservoir from the water system, replacement of priority water distribution mains on several streets, and replacement of transmission main from the valve vault to the distribution system. This project closed on June 21st, 2018 with project costs of just over $2.5 million. Project costs are unchanged at this time. Today, we are seeking authorization to extend the maturity date for 1 year from June of 2023 to June of 2024 to allow for construction completion and finalization of total project costs. The first phase of work for the valve vault reconstruction was delayed due to an unexpected subsurface conditions and is expected to be completed this spring. The village wanted to complete the first phase before moving on to phase 2, which is primarily for main replacements, so they could use the new valve systems to help isolate and locate major leakage in the system. The phase 2 construction is expected to begin later this summer with a tentative completion date of the end of May 2024. The second project is the Village of Roxbury in Delaware County. This project includes installation of a new well, construction of several treatment facilities, installation of a looping main, and the replacement of water main hydrants and valves. The project closed in June of 2018 with project costs totaling $3.5 million. We are seeking authorization to extend the maturity date for 2 years from June of 2023 to June of 2025 to allow time for the final construction contract of the project to be bid. The contract is for water main replacement along Vega Mountain Road to the storage reservoir. This work was delayed by land acquisition problems and then was purposely put on hold so it could be coordinated with a culvert replacement designed by Delaware City Soil and Water. The construction is expected to start this summer with a tentative completion date of October 2024. Any questions?
Great. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous on ID number 3. ID number 4.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible drinking water projects from funds appropriated for water infrastructure improvement projects.
Kate, could I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a motion, Chairman.
Thank you, Vita.
I'll second.
Thank you, Francis. David Phillips will be presenting. Looks like a Long Island centric.
It is, yes. So thank you. We have 12 drinking water projects before the board today. The first one is for the Manhasset Lakeville Water District in Nassau County. This is for a new GAC system, granular activated carbon, to remove PFOA and PFOS at the Willits well. This will allow the system to comply with New York State MCLs for PFOA and PFOS. The next 11 projects are all Suffolk County Water Authority projects for similar projects for AOP treatment. They're just at different locations, so forgive me if I sound repetitive, but I'll go through each one individually. So the first one is a new AOP treatment to remove 1,4-dioxane at the Sunken Meadow State Park well field in the town of Smithtown. The next one is an AOP system to remove 1,4-dioxane from well number 3 at the 3rd Avenue well field in the town of Islip. The next one is for an AOP system to remove 1,4-dioxane at the Commercial Boulevard well field in the town of Islip. And these are all receiving WIA grants, by the way. The next one is an AOP system to remove 1,4-dioxane at the Douglas Avenue well field in the village of Northport. The next one is for a new AOP system to remove 1,4-dioxane at the Old Dock Road well field in the town of Smithtown. The next one is for a new AOP system to remove 1,4 from groundwater at the Lawrence Road well field, also in the town of Smithtown. The next one is for new AOP to remove 1,4-dioxane at the Wayne Court well field in the town of Huntington. Next one is for new AOP to remove 1,4-dioxane at the Jane Boulevard well field in the town of Brookhaven. The next one is for AOP to remove 1,4-dioxane at the Wheeler Road well field in the town of Smithtown. The next one is for new AOP for 1,4-dioxane at the Peconic Street well field in the town of Islip. And the last one, new AOP to remove 1,4-dioxane at the Woodchuck Hollow Road well field in the town of Huntington. That's it. Any questions on those?
Yeah. So obviously we have a common theme here with 1,4. And you can see on the map that, you know, you kind of have an arc. So I'm assuming this is from a common plume, a common source area. And, you know, do we know, has as the source, as a responsible party for the source of this, been alleviated, or that's being worked on under some other DC regulation as this plume, I mean, seems obvious. So I'm just curious on, I know we have to do this at the end points and at these water sources, but I'm curious that I'm assuming we as a state are working with responsible parties. I know that's not fully our jurisdiction on this board, but I am inquiring.
Yes, so I believe this is from a single plume. There's basically I think 2 aquifers on Long Island. I don't really have details on the bigger picture, like working to remediate the actual plume itself. So, we're involved with, treating each source. But that's something we could provide more detail on.
Yeah, I'd be interested given the scale of this investment. Yeah.
I mean, I have an idea. I don't want to say because I'm not really particularly intelligent on the subject. So I will Vita go back and get some information on it. But I think David's right that it is a particular source that is, actively being investigated, and I don't know where it is in the timeline of investigation and remediation. But yeah, let me see if I can get some more information on it and discuss in May.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I don't want to name names when I'm not 100%
right. It's always fast talk.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, on each one has a significant municipal contribution. I'm just wondering what municipality or what entity is coming in with that local money.
So I believe the applicant for all these is the Suffolk County Water Authority. So my understanding is they're the ones that are paying for the local share and would just recoup costs through users.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, anything further? Excellent. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, great. Unanimous on ID number 4. ID number 5.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending prior authorizations for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Okay. Could I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Thank you, James.
Second.
Thank you, Francis. Rebecca will be presenting again.
The first project is a joint project between the City of Binghamton and the Village of Johnson City. This is for the planning, design, and construction of restoration and rehabilitation to the Binghamton-Johnson City Joint Sewage Treatment Plant. This phase of the project, which closed in September 2018, is the last piece of the larger $288 million project. It's being funded with a combination of $20 million in WIA grant and $45 million in subsidized financing. Today, we are seeking authorization to extend the maturity 1 year from September of 2023 to September of 2024 to give the city and village time to settle outstanding arbitration with a construction contractor and determine final project costs. The construction was completed in January of 2022. And there's approximately $10 million left to disperse on the financing. The next project is the Village of Red Hook in Dutchess County. This project is for the planning, design, and construction of a new low-pressure sewer system and wastewater treatment plant upgrades. This project originally closed in March of 2017. At this time, project costs equal roughly $8.5 million. We are seeking authorization to extend the maturity date from June of 2023 to June of 2024. Construction is almost complete with a tentative completion date of May 2023, and the village expects to be able to draw all funds by the end of June. However, the village then needs additional time to draw down funds from RD. before converting long-term with EFC. Our financing pre-financed a $2.8 million RD loan and a $1.2 million RD grant. The next project is the Village of Tupper Lake in Franklin County. This is for the planning, design, and construction of wastewater treatment plant and sanitary sewer improvements. We're seeking authorization for a funding increase of $675,000 in short-term interest-free financing and an extension of the maturity date for 1 year. The project initially closed in September of 2018 with project costs of approximately $9.4 million and have increased to $10.2 million. The financing is being amended to add installation of a mechanical bar screen at pump station number 3. Village continues to receive significant debris in the collection system that repeatedly trips operation of newly installed pumps. The station conveys approximately 2/3 of the entire collection system sewage to the wastewater treatment plant, posing a high risk of significant overflow. And the mechanical screen is expected to protect the integrity of the new equipment. The project has a tentative construction date of the end of this year. And the last project is the Village of Waterville in Oneida County. This project includes planning, design, and construction of wastewater system improvements. It closed in June of 2018, and we are seeking authorization to extend the maturity for 2 years. Project costs of $4.9 million are unchanged. And the wastewater treatment plant work is now largely done. But COVID did lead to delays in ordering equipment for the work. These delays were then exacerbated by significant supply chain delays, specifically delays to headworks equipment. And additional time is now needed for work on the collection system and the wastewater treatment plant access bridge, which the village expects will conclude in December of 2024. Any questions?
No.
Great. Thank you, Rebecca. All right. Move to a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
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 And resolution number 5 was unanimous. Resolution number 6.
Resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund and authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible clean water projects from funds appropriated for water infrastructure improvement projects.
Thank you, Kate. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a motion, Chairman, on ID 6.
Thank you, Vita.
I'll second Vita's motion.
Thank you, James, very much. All right. Bill Brazell for the ID number 6 will be presenting.
All right, good afternoon. Today we have 8 clean water projects before the board for new financings. The first is the Village of Alden in Erie County. It's a long-term interest-free financing. Request before the board today is a $4,961,891 long-term financing. And this project had also previously included a WIA grant for $1.66 million. The Village of Alden's sanitary sewer collection system has had significant inflow and infiltration during wet weather events. Both the collection system and the treatment plant needed various repairs and equipment upgrades or replacements. And the work was divided into 2 separate phases, including a sewer system evaluation survey that helped them prioritize the collection system work. The construction of phase 2 is expected to be completed in May of this year. And I'll also note that this project was supported with an engineering planning grant that was awarded back in 2013. Next, we have a short-term financing for the Village of Avon in Livingston County. The requested 5-year short-term financing consists of a $600,000 short-term interest-free financing, a $200,000 WIA grant, and a $1 million market rate financing that will pre-finance a WQIP grant from DEC. This project will add UV or ultraviolet disinfection to the wastewater treatment plant pursuant to a DEC requirement that they disinfect the treatment plant effluent seasonally from May 1st to October 31st each year. Construction is expected to start next month in May and be completed a year later in May of 2024. This project was also supported with an engineering planning grant that was awarded in 2018. Next, we have the town of Bethel, long-term interest refinancing for the town of Bethel in Sullivan County. The request is for a $2,474,520 long-term interest refinancing for the town's Kanianga Lake Sewer District. The project also included a WIA grant that had been previously authorized. Again, this is a collection system project. Their collection system experiences excessive amounts of I&I, which has affected performance of the wastewater treatment plant. The town committed to a phased plan to rehabilitate the sewers and enlarge some interceptor sewers to provide additional capacity. This project includes phases 3 and 4 of the sewer rehabilitation work in the district. Phases 1 and 2 have been previously completed. This work included relining of over 19,000 feet of collection sewer, replacing over 2,300 feet of collection sewer piping, and rehabilitating nearly 400 manholes. Construction was completed last year in May of 2022. Next, we have another long-term financing, this for the village of Corinth in Saratoga County. The request is a $12,423,597 long-term interest-free financing for the village of Corinth. Corinth had also received a WIA grant previously of $5 million, and along with grants from a number of other New York State agencies. The village's wastewater treatment plant was in poor condition, so poor that they decided to replace the entire treatment plant completely. Discharge capacity remained the same, but they've got a brand new treatment plant now. The project also included replacement of 15,000 feet of gravity collection sewers, 5,200 feet of new force main, and a 900-foot section of the trunk sewer leading to the treatment plant was replaced. Construction of this project was divided into many contracts. The first had started back as far back as 2014, and the final contracts are expected to be completed next month or later this spring. Corinth. Next, we have a WIA grant for the village of Florida in Orange County. It's a $54,540 WIA grant. It's a small project of just under $800,000. The village of Florida is required to disinfect the effluent from their treatment plant and is going to be adding UV disinfection to the treatment plant. Construction is expected to start in June and will be completed in September. Small project, should be done rather fast. And next we have a new short-term financing and WIA grant for the town of Seneca Falls in Seneca County. This is a $5,130,000 interest-free financing and a $1.71 million WIA grant for the town. The treatment plant in the town of Seneca Falls receives high wet weather flows due to I&I in their collection system. They are currently using a 3 million gallon equalization tank to attenuate wet weather flows. So any of the high flows go into the equalization tank and then can be bled out to the treatment plant when the rain event has ended. They are replacing the equalization tank with a new 3 million gallon tank. That's the town of Seneca Falls. Construction is expected to start later this year on that project. Next, we have the village of Sydney in Delaware County. This is a new short-term financing. It's also it's a new bill financing with just over $565,000 in bill interest-free financing and up to $887,469 in bill grant. The project also includes a WIA grant and a CWSRF base program grant, both for around $565,000. Village of Sydney has a wastewater treatment plant permitted to discharge 1.7 million gallons per day. They're under order with DEC for exceeding their phosphorus violations. And the proposed improvements to the treatment plant should improve their ability to remove solids from the wastewater and thus remove additional phosphorus, and they will be able to meet their limits. You're going to be putting in new headwork structure, upgrades to their aeration basin, new blowers, and replacement of internal components to their clarifiers. Construction is expected to begin in May and be completed in the spring of 2025. This project was supported with an engineering planning grant from 2014. And then finally, we have the City of Watervliet in Albany County. This is a new short-term financing, a new bill financing, $875,000 in bill interest-free financing and up to $2,549,000 in bill grant. Additionally, they would receive a $1,248,141 WIA grant and a $2.5 million market rate financing to pre-finance a WQIP grant from DEC. The City of Watervliet has a collection system that discharges to the Albany County Sewer District, to their north plant. The collection system is over 100 years old, experiences significant I&I, and they have 5 CSOs that discharge to the Hudson River during wet weather events. This project will construct new stormwater collection infrastructure to remove much of that stormwater runoff from getting into the combined system. And it is anticipated that this project will allow them to decommission all 5 of those CSOs. Good news for the Hudson River. Contract 1 will install approximately 4,900 linear feet of new storm sewers. Contract 2 is approximately 5,200 linear feet of new storm sewers. And this project will protect water quality in the Hudson River and also positively benefit an EJ area in the City of Watervliet. Construction began in January of this year and is expected to be completed in December.
Okay.
Any questions?
That's great. I don't know why during this week, when you were mentioning, I forget which location had gravity flow, gravity drain technology. I just wanted to say gravity drain technology can fall under energy efficiency.
It's true. It's free and it never shuts off. We hope.
That would be beyond our control. Cost effective too, and we have to obey it because it's the law, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Anything further? Awesome. All those in favor of ID number 6?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Our final ID is number 7, Keith.
A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation expressing gratitude and appreciation to Michael Roisman for outstanding service to the corporation.
Thank you, Kate. Could I have a motion in a second, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We all.
Thank you. Everyone kind of chimed in as a second there.
All of these.
I'm going to congratulate Michael myself because him and I arrive in the garage at very similar times. And we fight for the same spot in the southeast corner of floor 5. So
That's
hearty congratulations for me. That I'll have it all to myself.
That's important.
But Madam President, we'll discuss.
I already spoke about Mike. First, I wanted to say we're going to be, you'll be seeing, well, hopefully not a lot of these, but resolutions to the board to recognize folks that have given significant years and efforts to EFC. And notwithstanding the parking spot, I think it's especially nice to do it for Mike here, who's in IT, one of those folks that's, behind the scenes. You don't see a lot like, folks that work on drinking water and wastewater, right? A lot of folks back there, unsung heroes. You're not giving a lot of thanks to your public works employees, just like IT. It's critical to IT, drinking water, clean water, right? Critical to everything that everyone does basically every day. But we don't give any thanks to these folks. But it's certainly a big deal when something goes wrong. So mostly things go well, and you just see Mike, walking around the floor, but you don't see all the hard work he does behind the scenes. So
I was going to say he kept us safe, not just with regards to cybersecurity, but when COVID hit, he was just integral, and he's always like calm and kind, and he's, available when you need him. And he really ensured that we could work safely and securely in a number of different ways when COVID hit.
He was integral to making sure that we could go basically uninterrupted during COVID. So he will be missed.
So true.
I'll just say I'll miss him for, you guys have said it, his sort of calm and making all the technology work when it had to, right? And also just talking to him, in the boardroom about our crazy kids, his kids are about the age as mine, and college and that stuff. Always just great interacting with him. So I'll miss him. Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, one of the great things of going to the meetings in person, which we've gone away from a bit, it was seeing him. Yeah, because he was always such a pleasure to see. And I had heard rumor that spot was going to be given to him in permanence as an honor for his. But
I guess I'll
maybe
just
I
go
was
to the
wrong.
sixth floor for now.
Corner over there.
With his name on it and some cones around it, so no one
I
can
would
ever
support
park
that.
there.
That's fine. All right. Well, that's great. It's good to hear. Congratulations to him. It's well deserved. Okay. All those in favor of ID number 7? Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Unanimous. All right. Unless anyone has anything to add, we don't have any new business on the agenda. Our next board meeting is May 11, 12:50. We do have 2 committees: governance at 11, finance at 11:45. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Francis James, with the second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Happy and blessed holidays, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Likewise.